Hi, welcome. This is Will Berigan, and if you're wondering whether or not you're in the right place and who the hell I am, I can certainly understand that. But you're in the 2021 Johnnie Standup. It's virtual this year, and I'm a 1991 grad, and you still might be asking yourself, why the hell am I hosting this? And I'm still struggling with that a little bit, to be completely honest with you. But it turns out Matt Winston isn't healthy today. He actually had a real athletic career where he's recovering from injuries in middle age, and I'm still doing fine. But I'll do my best today, and we've got a lot of great Johnnies who are going to be talking to all of us today and sharing their time. So the first person we're going to hear from, I've known for over 30 years. And we used to discuss the merits of Saturday Night Live and Wayne and Garth skits back in the late 80s and early 90s. And more than that, we shared our journey in connecting with the Holy Spirit that's so present at St. John's. And we've walked that path on and off together for a long time. So please welcome my dear friend and our current alumni chaplain, Tim Backus, aka Timo, a 76 grad. Timo, it's all yours.
Thanks, Will. And don't forget the power of limericks either. That also brought us together. I'm here to lead us in prayer today, and thank you everyone for joining us in this special format. And I'd like to begin with a prayer for Lent. During this season of Lent, O Lord, give each one of us the strength to bear fruit in our lives, the fruit of the Holy Spirit that helps us be patient and forgiving, that inspires us to works of charity, that help us see the beauty of God in all creation, and that gives us hope to navigate dark and turbulent times. In a very special way today, we ask you to bless all those Johnnies who are doctors and nurses and grocers and first responders and politicians, teachers, social workers, and all essential workers. Be with those Johnnies who are struggling with health issues, financial worries, relationship and family confusions. Help each of us in our own lives be attentive to the voices of those who call out for our hand, our shoulder, our heart. And may our love of all things Benedictine help us to listen with the ear of that heart so that we will never miss a need that is placed in our path. We ask all of this in the name of Jesus, who is Lord forever and ever. Amen.
Thanks, Timo. Some of those limericks were even enough to make a rancher from Nebraska blush. Those were good, but not family friendly. So thank you, Timo, and thanks for the beautiful blessing. Next up is David Moe. I've gotten to know David the last couple of years. He's a 94 grad. He's the president of the Alumni Association, and behind the scenes, he's putting in a lot of work on all of our behalfs. I see it, and we're all grateful for it. David has got his gift of vision and his generosity are truly something that I'm grateful for, and it's a gift for all of us. In his day job, he's a director of corporate finance, financial planning, and analysis at the Toro Company. Please welcome my friend, David Moe.
Thank you, Will. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Johnnie Stand-Up from wherever you are in the world at this moment. It's nice to have each of you take some time to connect with this special place that we call St. John's. It's not the normal forum for a stand-up, but we adapt and we focus on what's important. I'm reminded of Mr. Rogers sharing the story that his mother told him when confronted with a crisis. Look for the helpers. You will always find people who are helping. As Johnnies, we help. We are teachers, governmental leaders, police officers, scientists, soldiers, businessmen, frontline medical professionals, and much, much more. We stand up for justice, we serve those in need, We are on school boards, church councils, and Cub Scout pack committees. Giving back is part of who we are. St. John's is special, and it has served a foundational role in making us who we are. As a Catholic men's liberal arts institution that is grounded in the Benedictine values, this holistic development offers a unique experience to build strong, good men. Each of us is called to do our part to preserve this institution and accept our role as stewards and take action to support it. It comes down to four things that we ask of each other as Johnnies, namely to help recruit our next generation of students, to preserve the experience of those presently enrolled, to support each other after we graduate, and to financially contribute to the student fund. We do help recruit the next generation of Johnnies. Of the 416 freshmen at St. John's this year, 34% are legacy, whereby they have a grandparent, parent, or sibling as an alum. And another 28% were referred by an alum and received the alum referral scholarship. Thus, almost 2/3 of the incoming class have strong connection to our alumni community, confirming the important role that each of us plays in recruitment. We can make referrals, and it's easy. Whether you go through the St. John's, St. Ben's referral day around January 15th this year, or anytime online. Each of us can grant a $4,000 referral scholarship that translates into $1,000 per year for all 4 years, and it's open to anyone. A relative, the post person's son, it doesn't matter. We can participate in our Enrollment Partners program, which matches alums with enrolled students before they start their freshman year, creating relationships and a support network as they go through that transition. We do help preserve the student experience. We can sign up for Interaction, which matches alums with current students for an informal meeting. It's the new Take a Johnnie to Lunch program. We can host a micro internship at our office to supplement efforts on short-term projects. We can serve as a panel member, a mentor, networking, practice coach, and many other ways through the XPD Expo when it fires back up next year. We do support each other too. We can ensure that our profiles are up to date. We are connected on Facebook or Twitter so that we know what's going on in terms of the activities in the area. We can attend an organized event like the Benedictine Day of Service on April 24th, which is happening globally and hosted by our chapters committee and sponsored by our Benedictine Way committee. We can go to the golf scramble on July 12th or the Twins game on July 27th, or we can simply pick up and wear a new sweatshirt or hat from the bookstore. We can get active in our class, in our chapter, our club, or on one of our board committees. We're always looking for new ideas, leadership, and involvement. We do help support the student fund. Roughly 98% of the St. John's students receive some form of financial support, and the student fund plays a key role, with 100% of the money received going directly to the students. We can contribute any amount, as any amount is important. You can make a single contribution or sign up to have it come out of your checking account or on a credit card on a monthly basis. And I'll say it again, any amount counts. It actually counts towards our participation rate, which is the percentage of alumni who contribute annually. The better the participation rate, the better our national rankings. It's that simple. And it demonstrates our alumni commitment. We can encourage others to contribute as well through posting a video on Facebook for Give to SJU Day, or simply signing up to call a few of our classmates. There are many ways, large and small, in which you can help. For more information, check out sjulum.com or watch our Facebook, Twitter, or LinkedIn pages for more real-time information. Yet we must all continue to change to preserve what is special and to see it grow towards the future. Like Jack Welch said, if the rate of change on the outside exceeds the rate of change on the inside, the end is near. We don't want this to end. We want this to grow. But we need to change in the right way. And Winston Churchill counsels us, there's nothing wrong with change if it's in the right direction. So we're trying to strike that right balance. And the association is changing true. We are strengthening our relationships with the administration, the trustees, and the St. Ben's Alumni Association. We changed our structure so that we have committees that focus on our four key areas of student recruitment, student experience, alumni engagement, and resource development, as well as trying to connect with each of our Johnnies around the globe at where they are at. whether it's individually, whether it's their age through our classes, whether it's the location through our chapters, or special interests through our clubs, all of which are remaining to be blanketed in the Benedictine values. We're ensuring that we have intellectual diversity on our board, whether that's age, geography, industry, race, skill set, to help us make sure that we are active and listening to all 27,000 alumni. Each of us doing a little will ensure that our home, St. John's, will hold true to what makes it special and will grow and prosper for future generations. And in doing so, help make this world a better place. Thank you. Go Johnnies, and back to you, Will.
Thank you, David. I've worked with David long enough to realize what a good man he is, and get a little self-conscious actually, because it's clear that he's a better person than me as he brings forth the spirit of Fred Rogers from his childhood. I'm thinking about mine, and I'm one of 8 children raised by my siblings, this feral child in my brother's college apartment, listening to Richard Pryor albums. So I might be quoting Richard Pryor by the end of the day if I'm not careful. But next up is Dan McKeown. He's an '85 grad and is such a prominent name for all of us, and gives so much of his time and talent as the chair of the Board of Trustees. And Dan is a highly dedicated leader at St. John's, and he's also president and CEO of a specialty manufacturing company. Dan talked about his family and how prominent all of his siblings and nieces and nephews and children have been. And in fact, his dad is a graduate in 1952 and was chair of the Board of Regents from '87 to '92. So please extend gratitude and welcome to Dan McKeown.
Thanks, Will. Thank you for inviting me, alums. I've always enjoyed these events as an alum and look forward to meeting you again in person. My son Desmond is also on this call, and then also my daughter graduated. In our family, over 3 generations, we've had 20 Johnnies and Bennies go through these great schools. So today I wanted to share an update with you about the university. First, as you've heard, we're moving to a single leader shared by St. John's and St. Ben's. This move, along with the changes in the board, will allow the university and the College St. Benedict's to streamline our processes, be nimbler, more flexible, and make decisions quickly. The 2 boards began strategic planning back in 2018, and after assessing the challenges of the market, meeting with other colleges how to manage through the future issues, and assessing our current coordinate relationship, which dates back to 1968, we agreed that a change in governance and leadership was the key to moving forward. This change is an evolution of our current coordinate relationship. St. John's University and the College of St. Benedict's will remain separate university colleges with separate dorms, student life, athletics, and finances, and a shared academic program. This leadership model positions the school to move strategic decisions to ensure our unique Johnny Benny liberal arts education founded in our Catholic and Benedictine traditions and thrives into the future. This change was made possible through the hard work and enthusiastic support of the monastic communities. This fall school year, we will have a transitional leader for St. John's and St. Ben's, and then start a search for a single leader after we complete all the work that we require internally, and then also work through regulatory approval. It's a superior governance and leadership model for both schools. It allows us to be nimble, decisive, bolder, and aligned as we move forward into what is clearly a fast-changing, tougher higher ed world. You should have received an email this fall that our current interim president, President Gene McAllister, will be leaving this year and returning to Montana. Gene served an additional year at St. John's, and we are grateful for his service to St. John's. Bennett Morgan, class of '85, is currently chairing the search committee for next year's transitional president. We're about halfway through our search process, and we expect to be announcing a leader this spring. I also wanted to share with you some updates on campus. As you know, this last spring when the pandemic hit, the schools closed and went online through the rest of the school year. Through the combined work of all the staff and the faculty and employees, we successfully completed the school year and then began making plans for the fall. Through the incredible amount of work of the people up there over the summer, the faculty, the entire curriculum was changed from 4 classes to a single class in a block scheduling. This change was more conducive to hybrid learning and also mitigating COVID-19 on campus. Other great news this fall, St. John's was one of the very few private institutions in Minnesota with flat or high enrollment than the prior year. This administration did an amazing job on retention, enrollment, and supporting families in need due to COVID. CSB enrollment was down slightly, but exceeded the enrollment drops of other Midwest colleges. Both schools had to balance their budget from the prior year and adjusted to the changes of COVID-19. Last year at St. John's was a record year of fundraising. Over $35 million was raised, a record annual fund, and in a matter of few weeks, several alums contributed nearly $4 million in cash to take care of our new and returning Johnnies during this tough time. Adam, can you put up a slide for me for the campus, please? Looking forward to the few areas I want to highlight. The St. John's board will be meeting this Friday to approve the Flintown project, which will replace the Seton Earth homes that you see pictured here with new townhomes and a bridge over Stump Lake. This housing will be ready in the fall of 2022. The new bridge and the layout will allow students to enter Flintown through the center of this new area, walking past grass, fire pits, outdoor campuses as they access the rest of their dorms in Lower Flintown. This allows the students to be more interactive, move between the buildings and spend time together, and enhances the community, which is what makes St. John such a special place. See, it's the College of St. Benedict's just announced their first graduate program in nursing, which strengthens both schools where alums can come back and receive a graduate degree. Next year, the two schools have created a new position called the Chief Marketing Officer, which will bring all the marketing functions under a single leader and a new branding role as well within the department. This change will allow St. John's and St. Ben's to focus their marketing on driving enrollment and engagement, along with brand positioning for both schools. This new organizational idea was co-led by CSB alum Katie Boylan, Chief Communications Officer and Marketing at Target, 1999 grad, and St. John's alum Fred Sen, class of 64, who founded Fallon Worldwide, working alongside our presidents, Gene and Lori. If you know anyone who would be a good candidate for this role, please contact our schools. Last, I'd like to close with a reminder why we're all here. It's about the students. Students are back on campus, they're navigating COVID and managing through that, and also getting through what's been, for those that live here in Minnesota, a pretty cold 2 weeks. This year, in order to help students have more activities, we built a hockey rink in the middle of the tundra. The RAs created a rink down in Flintown on Stump Lake, and the Outdoor Leadership Council created one on Lake Sag. So lots of great outdoor activities. The students are through the first quarter of the semester, and like all of us, waiting for spring. I have one ask for all of you, to reach out to friends and family about choosing St. John's. This is the time of the year, as we know, when high school seniors are making college choices. With all the changes in the pandemic, it has been a very unusual year for all seniors and the college selection process. And I echo just David's comments in this. Spring is a time when students make choices for colleges, and I think St. John's is an excellent choice. Thank you for having me on the call, and I look forward to seeing you in person. Go Johnnies.
Thanks, Dan. Thanks for your continued dedication to St. John's. Truly, the university and the community owe you a lot for all of that. I'm looking at all the beautiful changes that Dan was kind of articulating, and I had this middle-aged man fantasy run through my head. Maybe I think there's like 150 of us on this call. Maybe we can all storm the transfer portal and get an extra year at St. John's for COVID-19, no matter what age we are. I think that's something we can pick Bob's brain about in the Q&A to see if we're eligible. But as we kind of think about that a little bit, I want to introduce Tom Freeman, who's an 08 grad, and he's president of the J-Club. It's the Athletic Booster Club, for those of you that don't know. And Tom became J-Club President in July of 2020. So he's brand new. Vic Moore, I don't know if there was some sort of, I don't even know how he gave up that helm, but I know Tom's going to do a great job. He was a standout on the Johnnie hockey team. Professionally, he's a government relations director at Fagery, and he also does consulting for Fagery and helps within the context of the legislature and lobbying. So, Tom, thanks for what you're about to share. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Will. And yeah, I think one lesson Vic Moore didn't take to heart is the only thing worse than a politician with an open mic is a lobbyist. So I plan to a lobbyist with an open mic. So I plan to be quick. As Will said, my name is Tom Freeman. I am the current J-Club President. I want to give everybody just a quick update on a couple of our efforts as it relates to Johnnie Athletics. You know, the J-Club is really intended to be that kind of fill in the blanks or fill in the cracks for the athletic budget that might not be planned for. And so over the years, we've been able to be successful with your help to ensure that we can fund things like new tech suits for swimming and diving team, different out-of-state trips for baseball, tennis, golf, new uniforms for the soccer team, and many other items. Right now, as you can imagine, the student athletes are under immense pressure, as are the athletic department and the coaches in turning their operations into a COVID-safe planning situation. And so while the challenges of COVID have brought on a lot for our entire society, they're impacting Johnnie Athletics, and the budget demands continue to grow. And we'll hear more about that from Bob. With that in mind, the J-Club is really going to go in an effort to help backfill those needs that hit the athletic budgets due to COVID-19. This will include raising funds for testing costs, PPE, additional travel costs so the kids can travel safely, among other items. And I don't want this to be, usually we do these things with a silent auction. I really miss that. I miss that and the opportunity to have a couple beers with the 200 people that are on the call with us. But just consider joining the J-Club this year for $100 to help offset those costs. That would include, over 3 weeks of testing for an athlete right now, among other things. And so I think I don't want to make it a fundraiser, but the Johnnie Athletics could really use your support in ensuring that things are covered. Lastly, I want to just touch on our J-Club Hall of Honor that was established in 2018. That the Hall of Honor was created to recognize the long history of outstanding student athletes, teams, coaches, and other contributors that have made outstanding contributions to St. John's University and Johnnie Athletics. As many of you know, our charter members, our coaches, John Gagliardi and Jim Smith, both were inducted in separate events in the 2018-2019 academic year. The first full class was inducted during the homecoming weekend of 2019. For many of you were probably there. It was a great event that featured 10 individuals, 1 team, and 2 distinguished service members. Much like everything that has been shut down due to COVID for safety reasons, this last induction did not happen this year. It'll be postponed. So our next class will be the class of 2021. I'd give a shout out to Frank Rakowski, who apparently was sick of interviewing schmucks like myself at the St. Cloud Times and has since joined the athletic department. He has done an incredible job of putting together some vignettes that are on gojohnnies.com, profiling the new inductee class. So please do check that out. They're also on the various social pages that I think Adam will probably link to. And the cool thing is if you are involved in the J-Club, you have an ability to be involved in that process. So maybe there's a teammate or a classmate of yours that should be considered for the Hall of Honor. Those nominations can take place from anybody who is a member of the J-Club. And so please consider doing that. I'll put that in the link as well. And I also want to give a shout out to fellow board members that are on the call, and a special shout out to Dan Murphy and Luke Vestrom from our J-Club board, who are leading our efforts in organizing and running the Hall of Honor Committee with great success. So with that, I'll turn it back to you, Will, and thanks for the time tonight and joining everybody, and go Johnnies.
Tom, thank you. The J-Club is in good hands, so thanks for taking that over. It's an important role, and we're grateful that you're willing to step in and do that. And I can truly tell it's going to be in great hands. So the next person is really the star of the show. As we're preparing, he told me to make sure I mentioned that he ultimately, and his soul of soul, his heart of hearts, is a song and dance man. So we need to make sure we get him, maybe do a little Candyman before it's over. But I don't know how many of you know Bob well, but Bob was he was kind of the first adult that I met at St. John's in a position of authority. He gave me my tour when I came to visit, and Bob's got a real dichotomy in that there's just such a gentle spirit about him. But when his game face and intensity and competitive juices start flowing, his face shrinks, his eyes, like you can see into his stomach. His eyes are so transparent and authentic and passionate. And I remember he did that to me once, probably because I was loafing, and I thought, holy cow, is this guy intense? But he's a Hall of Fame golf coach, and when I was around him, he was never around golf. So he is at his core a teacher and a molder of men and a motivator, and he's really kind of sitting on top of an athletic department that's doing great things. So Bob, please share with us all your gifts.
Well, thanks so much for those really kind words, and I appreciate the fact that you chose to use the introduction that my mother wrote for you. I really appreciate that. Thank you, Will. One of the things when we talk about athletics at St. John's that I'd like to get into right off the top, and I think, frankly, it's something that we just haven't spent enough time on. We haven't given its due. And quite frankly, that's my athletic career at St. John's. I appreciate this opportunity to set the record straight. I know so often we talk about what you do professionally, but it's easy to forget what happened 40 years ago. And I'm just going to tell you the truth. I hold numerous Johnnie basketball records from my time here. They talk all the time about the greatness of Frank Wackler-Warwitz and a lot of those guys, but let me be clear on this. I'm the all-time career leading scorer in warm-ups and halftime warm-ups as well. I also lead the career leader at St. John's in block shots and steals that took place during warm-ups. I know that occasionally that used to irritate some of my teammates and coaches, but I thought it was my job to get the team as ready as I could possibly get them to prepare them for any possible situation. It wouldn't be an appropriate Johnnie stand-up, I don't think. So without maybe a John Gallardi story. And this is an interesting one, I think, because it combines John Gallardi and Jim Smith. Early on in my coaching career, I was trying to figure out, I've been here 35 years now, I think, as an employee, started off at the prep school, and then with my time working in the athletic department. And I was Jim Smith's assistant for 20 years. And Jim had a family emergency, family crisis, and had to leave and was unable to coach the team when we were playing Bethel. And I was tabbed to coach the team. And the guys just rallied in support of Coach Smith, and we won. And after the game, as we're walking off the floor, you know, I'm young. I'm in my mid-20s, and I'm walking off the floor, and John Gallardi gives me a little nod. And I walk off the floor, and I go, boy, I don't think it gets any better than that. That's pretty awesome. I talked to Smitty that night. He was thrilled, and the guys did an unbelievable job of just rallying and winning one for Coach. And it was awesome. Well, you know, you're feeling pretty good about yourself as you walk out after one like that, and you come back to work the next day with a little bit of skip in your step and feeling a little good about life. And I see John right away as I'm going to grab my mail. And John goes, you know, Bob, I've been thinking about you. Been thinking about you all night. And I go, God, thanks, John. That really means a lot to me. He goes, you should retire. You should retire right now. You've got a chance to go out where nobody gets to go out. It'll never get any better than this. You're undefeated. You've won one game. You're done. You should leave. Grab your coat and go home. And then he turned and walked away, as he often did, walked away from the mailroom back to his office. And I sat there afterwards and I went, you know, I was expecting a little different response than after the win, being told to quit or being told to retire. I'm going to be honest. For those 35 years, this year has been the year that it makes me think about sometimes about John's advice, and maybe thinking about taking that advice sometimes. I know people have had miserable experiences working with COVID. And I know that it's impacted people's families, and God bless you. And we pray for you, and we pray about COVID every day. But I'll tell you something, when we start talking about athletics so often about and what we've been able to do, there have been people that have absolutely inspired me and all of us to be able to continue and to be able to do the job that we've been able to do to provide the opportunities for our student athletes to play. You're going to have to indulge me for a second. I'm going to try and screen share right here. I'm going to give her heck. I'm going to do my best. Let's see what I can do here. I think it's this one. Close. It's almost that one. It's actually, oh yeah, it's this one. Okay, great. I'm going to do this, start from the beginning, and I'm going to go to the next slide. You'll see some pictures of some people in our athletic department that don't get much credit or don't get much recognition. And I think it's really important that we get a chance to recognize these people. And I put it on the screen share in the hopes that you might copy down their email address and that you might shoot them a note and that you might thank them, because they're the unsung heroes. Anytime we try and bring people back and create opportunities for our student athletes to do whatever they do. I start off with Jim Gallardi and with Ty Dennis. Jim and Ty have taken it upon themselves to get engaged in a number of different activities that you wouldn't think that would fall upon an athletic department. In the fall, they both negotiated a deal with a local vendor to bring a huge video board out to campus. They showed movies. We ended up having out on Clemens Field. It ended up being, it's not a drive-in, but it's an outdoor movie theater using the seats in Clemens Stadium with the with the video board down right on the field. Ty works with our Student Athletic Advisory Council, and they were super involved with selecting the movies and sponsoring the event, making sure that we sat in socially distantly acceptable locations and things like that. They did that in the fall, and in this spring, once we found out we were going to be able to play, God bless them, they took on the streaming. And I don't know if you've had a chance to take a look at the quality and the volume of what we've been trying to do from a streaming standpoint, but it used to be just the big guns that got streamed: football, basketball, hockey, baseball in the spring. Thanks to Jimmy and Ty, we've streamed wrestling, we've streamed swim meets, we've streamed track and field meets. It's absolutely unbelievable what they've been able to do, and I'm just so grateful for them every day. Next, you see Ryan Klinger on here. Ryan is our sports information director. Ryan is the one, if you ever go on Go Johnnies, there isn't a better college website you're going to find anywhere. He's unbelievable. And in the summertime, Ryan was connecting with students, creating a Johnnie workbook of activities that they could keep up with, and just to try and keep people engaged. Ryan's done an incredible job of following up with alum requests about people wanting to do archived games from basketball and hockey and football, and he's put those on, and he's really created a tremendous service for our student for our alum base. Next, Scott Bierscheid and Justin Rost, two of our trainers. Scott's our head athletic trainer, and Justin is our strength and conditioning coach, and also supervises, manages our fitness center. The amount of changes that Justin has had to go through to make the fitness center safe for all students, not just the athletes. The guy has just done an absolutely incredible job. And Scott has spearheaded all of our efforts to create policies, return to play policies for the student athletes. He's just been absolutely spectacular. I saved the last two. Well, obviously I saved the last two for last. I'm nothing if not articulate. Holly Blanker, assistant trainer, Nikki Malika, assistant athletic director, events. these two have made it possible for our kids to compete because they're the ones that dug in and got us going when we needed help with everything that took care of testing. Holly has worked terrifically closely with the Sartell Family Medical Center, which I'll talk about in a little bit, about the great work that they have done. We would not be able to have been able to do any of this. Holly and Nikki have gone to the clinic in Sartell. They label the they label the test samples individually. They stuff the envelopes individually. They bring them out in order so that our kids can step right up and get tested seamlessly. Holly has been spectacular, and she has a full-time job as a NovaCare employee. She's in charge of all the scheduling and everything they do with everything that goes on with NovaCare, the physical therapy group out here and throughout the area and throughout the state. Holly does all their scheduling and the budgeting and all that stuff. And she's taken all this on while she just had a baby and recently married. You know, unbelievable the kind of people that we have here. And I saved Nikki for last because honest to God, she's our MVP. We wouldn't be able to do any of this stuff here. We had a situation in the fall where the COVID coordinator for St. John's abruptly resigned, decided the workload was too much. There were a lot of talk about who would maybe you'd put into that role, and they were looking at people with maybe more medical background and things in different areas and stuff. And I recommended Nikki, but I talked to her first because I know the type of work ethic she has, and I know the type of person that she is. And Nikki said, I can do it, but I'll tell you what, I will not give up my job as assistant AD and worrying about events and facilities, because Nikki oversees all the students, employees that we have in here too, creating a safe environment in the Warner Palestra, because we've never had to supervise the building before. Now we've got 3 checkpoints and cavity search. No, we don't do that. But we've got all kinds of great things that we do here. And Nikki, honest to goodness, we would not be, St. John's would not be in the position that St. John's is in right now with the low number of testing or the low number of positivity. I can't say enough about her. I'll tell you, it would mean the world to me if you took a chance and you looked at some of those emails. And if you've enjoyed the streaming, send a note to Jim and to Ty. If you've gone on Go Johnny's and you've seen some things, send Klink a note. If you appreciate the efforts that have taken place so that our kids can get a chance to play, that they've been taken care of as well as they've been taken care of, drop one to Scott or to Justin, to Holly. And if you get a chance, send one to Nikki, because God bless her, we wouldn't be able to function in this COVID world without her. I'm going to move on to some other topics right here too. Dan had talked about the ice rinks. This has been a team effort, this whole process too, where they've got some beautiful setups here out on the tundra and on Stump. And these have been driven, Dan McKeown mentioned earlier about President McAllister. President McAllister has really inspired us and driven us and pushed us to try and do more, to try and create opportunities and activities for students to be able to be involved. We've got the ice rinks. Ty, again, back to him, has done a magnificent job of running and setting up our intramural activities. We're playing basketball, 5-on-5 in the gym. We're wearing our masks. They're doing they're staying safe because we're screening them and we're tracking them and we're following them. It is such a fine line between, I'm going to try and stop this share now because I think you've seen the ice enough. It's such a fine line between hearing you want to respect people's individuality and their rights, and trying to keep the community safe. So we end up in lots of times, we end up in situations where we're the COVID police and we're running around, and it's an uncomfortable spot because we're much more likely to hug a kid than to chew on them for not wearing their mask. But that's the world we live in right now, and that's the kind of stuff that we've had to do and we've had to adjust. But when we do these things, this is what I've seen so far. It doesn't matter the sport. When we finished a game, it's amazing how, and this speaks to the type of young men that we have here, when they finish and they're starting to walk off the court and there are no crowds and the parents aren't there to see them, and all the things that usually you're used to being engaged with competition other than actually seeing the other team, you don't get a chance to do. I'll tell you the truth. Every time we finish a game or a contest or a swim meet or a track and field, Our student athletes will walk by and they'll look at me or find Jim or find Nick or find something like that. And they'll look with tremendous sincerity and tell us, thanks, this really meant a lot to us. We miss this so much. This helps us so much. And I'll tell you what, it's inspiring. And when that kind of stuff happens and we hear that kind of stuff and it's genuine from our kids, there's no question that we're going to work a little harder. We're going to dig in a little tougher, and we're going to do the best darn job that we can to help them and to do everything we can to do to give them opportunities that doggone it, everything we can to give them opportunities. Well, let me tell you a little bit about sports. The plans right now, I'm going to break them down by sport: winter and spring and hybrid spring. The plans for winter sports, sadly, way too many no's. No NCAA championship, and since there's no NCAA championship, that meant no conference championship for basketball and hockey. The decision had been made to not have championships in the individual sports in swimming and diving and track and field, indoor track and field. But we're competing. We have minimum numbers of student athletes that we expect that we have to be able to compete. We can deal with that kind of stuff. The spectator proposal, I'll tell you folks this, and this probably isn't supposed to get out, but we're all friends here and we'll keep it to ourselves, I guess. There's been a heck of a push about spectators in the MIC because of what high schools are able to do. The reality is we can't have spectators because we're a residential college. And the idea of bringing a bunch of people into a residential situation is not something that the MDH, things like that, recommend. However, it just seems to make some sense that we have to look really hard and try and accommodate this as we go forward. And we continue to push. President McAllister pushes. We push here at St. John's. I'm going to tell you, it's an uphill battle, but hoping that when the weather gets better and we get a chance to get outside, we'll be able to get some help from the Minnesota Department of Health on maybe get some more guidance that'll help us maybe allow more people to be engaged in things about going on. So if anybody has any questions, I promise I'll leave plenty of time for questions. Adam told me that I'm supposed to talk straight till 6 o'clock. I've got 4 PowerPoint presentations that I'm going to do after I get through my brief notes. He said I'm supposed to go to 6 or 7. I'm not sure what it was, Adam. Text me on this one. Spring sports. Right now, the plan is that there have been, the NCAA has not made any decisions against having spring championships. So right now we're going full force with our spring schedules. Interestingly enough, we're going to make some accommodations about spring sports, I guess. Following MDH rules right now, they're recommending that you mask. So we're going to do that. We're going to hope that things are going to change. Again, as the weather gets better and we're outside more, that maybe the rules they'll be a little more lax and we're able to compete in some of those sports. But what we're banking on right now, what we're thankful for right now, is that we're able to play spring sports. And spring sports this year will include, so it's not only track and field, it's not only baseball and tennis. It's also going to include golf this year. Golf championships were canceled in the fall, but MIC championships will move to the spring. And I pray to God I didn't forget any sports. I don't think I did. So that's what spring sports are going to do. Now, I'm pretty sure that many folks on the call are going to have questions about the next part. And that's the fall sports moving to the spring. Again, there are no NCAA championships, and what our league has made a decision to do when there are no NCAA championships, then there are no conference championships. Right now, what is proposed, and all these, well, not all these things, many of these things I'm talking about won't be confirmed until the president's vote on March 1st. So I'd ask you, let's not, I'm talking to you guys. We're keeping this kind of just to ourselves a little bit here. They're going to be abbreviated schedules. Some of our sports are inclined to maybe use the fall season or use the spring season less as a time of competition and more of a time for player development. So we're in a situation right now where there's tremendous uncertainty still. But what we're going to do here is we're going to make sure that everything we do is with the safety and health and welfare of our student athletes. That's first and foremost. So you have to start to consider things. You have to start to ask yourself questions about whether or not it's in those kids' best interest to crank it up and ramp it up and do everything in our possible power to get them to play a game or two that might not mean much in the standings. It might mean something to us in our heart. It might mean something to us for rivalries and things like that. But we're going to put our kids' safety first, and so we may be in a situation where that could be the case. Well, the more of that will get fleshed out. No decisions have been made, absolutely, for sure. But that's the kind of stuff that's going to come up early in March, those kinds of decisions. I would like to give a shout out a little to that partnership we've had with the Sartell Family Medicine. It was a great story. Our hockey coach, Doug Schuler, here's what happened. I'm at home on Christmas Eve, and I get a phone call from this group that was supposed to do the testing. And it was that email that said, we need to talk. Well, probably many of you haven't experienced this, but my experience has been that's rarely a good thing when I've gotten a we've got to talk email or letter. So I call back on Christmas Eve about 6 o'clock at night. The guy answers the phone. He says, yeah, we're not going to be able to set that free testing site up at St. John's as we had promised you that we'd be able to do. So I'm sorry, but you're going to have to find your own testing right now. Well, that's Christmas Eve, and you know people aren't going to be working in that stretch of time through the first of the year and then after that. And that's again where I give our trainers and Nikki and a ton of credit, because we just got after it. And Doug Schuler is the neighbor of the lead physician at the Sartell Family Medicine clinic. And I'll tell you, one of the things that is most surprising about that, he is really a good guy. He's a Tommy. And I think what we have an opportunity here, as I explained to him when we entered into this partnership, was you've made some lousy decisions in your life already, but I think we have an opportunity to save your soul if you work closely with us. He bit. So we're working with them. If you know much about PCR testing, they're incredibly expensive, 40, 50, 80, 100, whatever it is. He's given us these tests for $7.50 a piece. We're able to test all of our student athletes. We're doing it 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and we've done a service for the whole institution. So far, 1,384 tests, 6 positives. And out of those 6 positives, 4 came on the same day, track and field guys that left practice and got in the car and went to Target together without masks. Our percentage of positivity rates for athletics is 0.004. It's been absolutely remarkable. The testing has been reliable. Our staff has been spectacular. And occasionally the students gripe about being told to stick that swab up a little bit farther up their nose, but they're dealing with it. They're handling it. The testing protocols continue to change. We are in a situation where it appears, especially Minnesota, that we're in better shape than we were before. So we may have less testing than what we've had, than what we had originally speculated. But right now, we've already had to spend over $11,000 in testing, and we did some things at the beginning of the season, with beginning of the year with the Go Johnnies Challenge. And I'll talk about that later, where we kind of anticipated that. But for some of our sports that don't have the resources, this is going to be a tough one for them to deal with. And I guarantee you that the J-Club will again be generous and help out, because that's what they do. The J-Club has helped Johnnie Athletics every single year, every different situation we've ever had. It's just some weird things that we've had to deal with, some additional mitigation strategies. We mask all the time when we travel. We mask in a bus. We've gone to half capacity. So it's limited the number of kids that we can travel at a particular time. We also take, by half capacity, every other row or 1 kid at a seat. And we also send a separate vehicle down in case somebody does get the sniffles or somebody shows a symptom and we're just not sure. And they drive back with somebody who either has COVID immunity or who has been vaccinated. We've made rules because we learned this one early in the fall. We had a couple of cases with the hockey team in the fall before we started testing at the level that we're testing right now. And what would happen is 4 or 5 guys that live together and live in St. Joe jump in a car and they drive together. and they'd go to the rink, and that's where the virus would be spread. We have not seen spread from the fitness center, from our athletic facilities, and throughout our teams. We just haven't seen it. So I went to, with what I did with the golf team in the fall, 2 kids per vehicle, same riding partners every day, and you mask all the time. In the fall, we had those rules with the golfers, and I stood in the parking lot and waited one time because they came in. And I saw them kind of putting their masks on when they're coming to practice, and I came in, and I saw some kids that didn't have masks on in the car, and I went, rolled down the window. They waved. I said, "Good to see you. Go home. Go back to St. John's. You don't get to practice if you don't follow the rules. If you're not going to mask, we're not going to have you practice here, because I'm not taking the chance of you infecting the rest of the group." And we've made a plan. We can't do some of the things we've done before, like shared food, like pizza on the bus. We can't do anything like that. Everything has to be prepackaged. We can't share any meals. No eating and drinking on the bus. You keep your mask on all the time. When we finish a game at a visiting school, we have to go find a spot. We've provided a spot in the field house for teams, but we've provided a spot where they can eat their meals and do their thing. And we've made a point of saying, it's always COVID before competition. It's always COVID before competition. We coach all the time about COVID, because if we don't handle COVID, we can't do the job. I know I don't have much time left, and I'm going to do this part fast. Guys, I'm telling you, our brand is strong. It is tremendously strong. Nate Daney, our director of vice president of admissions and enrollment, while everybody else in our league and all around, when enrollment was down, St. John stayed strong. We have more kids this year than we had last year. Athletics was a big part of that, with the first year class bringing in a little less than 70%. I did the numbers, Nate. I saw you're on. It was 284 is what I came up with the numbers of that freshman class, including club sports. It's remarkable. Nate's staff, and they are grinding. Our CFO, Dick Adamson, has done a hell of a job of working within COVID to try and make sure, working with Nate, to try and make sure that these kids, that we can keep college affordable for them. While families have lost their jobs, while parents have been in tough financial spots, we work with these people, we work with these families. It's unbelievable the job that they're doing. Dan mentioned before the block schedule. It has been so hard on the faculty. They are grinding, working 3.5 weeks straight, teaching that one class for 3 hours at a time. But gosh, it's worked, and we're getting through it. And the kids' GPAs, interestingly enough, have been higher. We've always known that the athletic GPAs have been higher than that of the rest of the student body. They were even higher during this really tough COVID period. So you got to give credit to the provost, Richard Ice, the faculty, Barb May, the academic dean, Mike Conley, our vice president of student development. He's been behind so many of these unbelievable student initiatives to try and not only keep the kids safe, but to keep them engaged. And they're constantly pushing and driving and trying to get better all the time. When I talk about our brand and I talk about the recruits, our friend Adam Herbst here, who's on this call, he is our lead guy when we're doing the Go Johnnies Challenge, the fundraising opportunity online that we do in the fall. Last year in COVID, last fall, over $250,000 we raised that you folks donated to St. John's to help our athletic programs. We're going to use some of that for testing. There's some costs that we're going to save money on, because obviously we don't have the travel. Some of our teams aren't going places and doing all the things that they've done before. But you've provided opportunity for us to take care of our kids, for us to put our kids in a position where they can succeed and they can stay safe. So what you've done, and the folks in IA, Lila and Jean are making this call happen, and they're magnificent. But Rob Culligan and the whole staff, with Adam included, the work that they've done to raise additional funds, to supplement student scholarships, to do things to allow people to stay in school, it's unbelievable. At semester break, we thought, golly, with COVID, we're going to be in a pickle here. We're going to run into a tough situation, and I got 1 minute left. A tough situation where I'm thinking retention. We're worried about retention. We have more kids that came to St. John's second semester that were their first semester. We've engaged them. We've kept them involved. We've kept them encouraged and given them hope. That's what St. John's does. This is a lot more than just athletics, but that's what St. John's has done. St. John's has cared for these kids. We've encouraged them. We've tried like crazy to keep them making great decisions. And we've loved them every step of the way. And that's what I know that you all take from this place, and that's what I know that you keep in your heart about St. John's. I want to thank you all for coming and enjoying and joining us today. There's nothing that gives me greater pleasure than to talk about St. John's and to thank the folks that make everything we do possible. If you want to check the streams, we got basketball tomorrow at St. Thomas, hockey Thursday and Friday with Augsburg and St. Thomas, diving Gustavus on Saturday, and track and field Sunday. We got to meet there. I sure hope I didn't forget to thank anybody that I need to thank, but I'll tell you what, this place is amazing. And we've in a time of adversity, we've really shown that we step up to challenges. The people here have just done a whale of a job, and the student athletes are appreciative and grateful and done a magnificent job here. Hey, I don't have to breathe usually when I'm talking to my son. RJ is out there, class of 2017, and he asked me beforehand, please, Dad, don't embarrass the family. And I said, son, that happened, that shit passed 26 years ago. Sorry, buddy. Thanks all so much. God bless you, and go Johnnies. Thanks for your support.
Thank you, Bob. Thank your staff for all their really deep ethos and passion for this. Thank you for the love that comes from you within the athletic department of the university. And thanks to everyone on the call for your stewardship. I think there's been a few questions that I think are worth answering. And Dan, if you're available, maybe you could address a couple of those.
Yes, I just want to clarify it, and I'm looking at the screen here. So just a couple of things. So the word combined. So the institutions are not combining. There's no merger. They are remaining as they are, as separate degree granting institutions. So just from a terminology, what we're talking about is moving to a single leader sitting over that. And then there was a good question there about Hobart Smith. We had a strategic planning group. Brian McGrain was the St. John's lead on that. We did visit a number of other institutions. What was really interesting is when we told them what we do and how we operate, everyone was extremely complimentary and amazed at the work of how these two unique schools have collaborated in this coordinate relationship over the years and what we've achieved to where we are and what others have thought about doing. So that basically reaffirmed that where we are today and how we operate is a strength. It's unique in the marketplace, and that this move to a single leader is just the next logical step. And other schools have gone in a variety of different paths. And our plan is to stay with the models we have and just strengthen the coordinate relationship with the changes that we've articulated. So, and then the other question was about alums and questions. I would just suggest if you have questions or concerns, reach out to David Moe. I've met with the alumni board or through the alumni office, and certainly we will follow up if you have questions around the topic that I brought up. So thank you for joining. And also my son reminded me in a text that I neglected to mention he married a Benny this year as well, and we had a wedding where we had 3 generations of grandparents there as well, and so quite a big Johnny Benny wedding. We were grateful to have that last year. Thanks.
Thank you, Dan. That brings us to the end of the hour. Adam asked me to give a little toast. So if you have a glass, raise your glass virtually. Boy, I can't wait for real life to get back and we can do this in the same room. But in the absence of that, I just wanted to offer a couple of things. And, you know, may 2021 find each of you connecting with the Johnnies you care so much about, hopefully in person. May your families feel the warmth and safety of your commitment to them and the fervent wish that each of us share our gratitude for all of the family love and support that we have. May you be blessed with a renewed and/or deepening connection with St. John's and its sense of place and purpose, some of which we got today. And may you feel proud of your continued connection to Collegeville and its natural energy of the Holy Spirit. I'm a big believer that I actually think the primary residence of the Holy Spirit is at St. John's. Feel the gift of your memories and marinate in the pride for what you have to share with all of the St. John's community. Have a great year, and may God bless each and every one of you rats out there. Cheers.